So now I'm going to ask you, if you were a Spice Girl, what Spice Girl would you be?
I am posh all day, every day, baby. Posh spice, period, dot dash.
You're competing with Katie.
Again, I feel like it's so fair for Katie to be posh, and I feel like we could both be posh. What about you, Ro? What Spice Girl do you most align with?
I feel like I'm a combination, but if I had to pick one, I think I'd pick Ginger Spice. That's just the Spice Girl that was my favorite. So I feel like that's my best reason. Am I sporty? No. Am I scary? Maybe in the morning. Am I
Right?
posh?
Same.
Not really. Am I a baby? Absolutely not. Ginger, most for me.
No, I totally feel that. I love that you picked Ginger, honestly. I was going
Hub,
to say for you, either Ginger or posh.
what are characteristics of Ginger? I don't even remember. I just thought she was pretty and cool.
Like pretty fun, down to earth, down to reality.
Oh, I like that. Okay, thank you. So I guess we're ready. Let's get down to reality. Welcome to Down to Reality. I am one of your hosts. My name is Ro, also known on social media as Reality Ops.
What's going on? My name is M, also known on social media as Connection Queen X.
And M is here with us today, yay, for the news portion of our podcast. The recap is the part 2, so the continuation of part 1 that I did with Hubs on the last podcast. So if you didn't listen to that, definitely listen to part 1. There was some good stuff there. However, this is part 2. This is the the end of the night that we had recorded together. And then after this, we have our news section with M, and there is some freaking tea.
There was some tea. I feel like I never have tea, but this week was like a tea week for me.
Tea week. This week and next week are going to be big tea weeks. So that's exciting. But when you're listening, you will hear our recap first, news later. Okay. And FYI, the news portion is like basically half the podcast. And we recorded it on Wednesday of this week and it's coming out on Thursday. So it's like fresh. You will join us again for the end to say later.
See you later.
Okay, so let's get into it with Hubs, part 2 of the Vanderpump season 11, episode 13 recap that we released in 2 parts. And we released part 1 on Tuesday, and now this is part 2. Brock and Scheana's date. So this one I think is an important scene for us to talk about because them as a couple and us as a couple. And
Yeah, we haven't seen it too often where it's the two of them out on a date and spending time.
Right.
So it's nice to see that sort of change of pace.
It was different. I felt like Brock said, don't leave the phones on the table. The phones don't stay out. I like that.
I like that a lot.
I agree with that.
I think the phones can be way too distracting at times.
It's very difficult, though, to do that when you're so used to checking it. And especially when you have like a kid at home.
A kid, yeah.
That's very hard to do. But I thought it was good that he said that. I thought it was funny that Scheana, because I don't know if you know this, like Scheana has a palate of a toddler. And so she ordered, they were at like this nice looking restaurant. She ordered popcorn shrimp. Did you think that was weird?
You know, I didn't because I do enjoy
A
popcorn shrimp.
When do you ever get popcorn shrimp? At Popeyes, maybe. When do you get popcorn shrimp?
Louisiana Fest.
Where do you get popcorn shrimp at a fancy restaurant?
I don't know if I've gotten it at a fancy restaurant before.
No, you get shrimp though. You get shrimp everything.
Oh, I've gotten popcorn shrimp at Red Lobster.
Oh, that fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Right, that one. Okay.
That's a fine seafood place.
Are you telling me that they have the ultimate feast at Red Lobster and you've gotten popcorn shrimp when you could get the ultimate feast?
Well, I've gotten it, I think, as an add-on. I think you can substitute sides.
I don't
I've
know.
gotten, popcorn shrimp.
If anyone's listening and they've gone to Red Lobster and they haven't gotten the ultimate feast, you're missing out. It's the best thing ever. I've literally been getting it since I was like 5.
Amazing.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Okay. Popcorn shrimp. He gets like some kind of fancy steak, I think. But they're talking about going to the hotel room because they haven't done that in a while. And
she brought her toys.
She brought her toys. I remember actually that night when they posted. So it's funny because she didn't have her phone out and she was like, can I not post for my vlog? She did post that night because I remember seeing her videos, and I still have on my phone, her videos from that night of her and Brock's date, like at the hotel. And I was like, I wonder what they're doing at a hotel. But she did post that night later on.
Oh,
She was
not from the
wearing
table.
no, and if I remember correctly, she was wearing like Kyle Chan jewelry that she was showing in the video also. The gin and juice presentation was
That
very
was
cool.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
With a
That
little boombox
that was not a
and the
lollipop.
music.
No, would you call that a lollipop? Wasn't
I
that
thought it
like
was more
rock
like rock
candy?
candy, yeah.
Why you call it a lollipop? That
I don't
bothered
know.
me.
Yeah.
So Scheana says that she did get a prenup because she was smart this time, but she doesn't even know where it is and she doesn't think they'll ever need to look at it. I hated that she said this because I feel like it jinxes it. I don't like when people do things like this. Like, just don't say it, Scheana. Especially when Scheana says shit. I'm like, Scheana, don't say shit. Because when you say it, we always go back to that clip
Superstitious.
and then it's like, no, and then that clip gets pulled back and like Scheana said this. Scares me. But I really do think her and Brock are good. So I think it's fine.
I did think it was weird because then she also mentioned it again, I think in the after show about the prenup. I'm like, why
Oh,
why she keep
okay.
saying
So it
this?
might be her
So I'm
OCD.
wondering if like
It's
she's
probably
like,
her OCD.
well, I mean, because she went through it, right? In the last marriage, and I think she's almost being a little,
Yeah.
more cautious now. But I think in her mind she cautious, but I don't ever plan to use it.
Yeah. And they say how they need more date nights. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. So this is like a common theme that we're seeing on the show is them talking about, we heard it with Allie and James too, like putting your relationship on the back burner for your kid, which you do need to prioritize your child most. I mean, that's who we are. However,
I think especially those earlier years are probably the hardest too because they're so young.
yeah. But I do agree. Like looking back, we should have dated more when she was little
Yeah,
because had we done that, I think it would have helped us more as we went on and then we wouldn't have had to do so much like back work. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree.
So I do like seeing them do this because I feel like they need to. We didn't listen. Like when people be like, "Make sure you go on dates," we're like, "Whatever, we're fine.
Yeah,
We're having ice cream on the couch." But like, you need to actually go on dates.
yeah. You recharge your battery.
But you also like establish yourself as a couple
A
and a
couple.
person too, rather than just like a parent.
Yeah, I agree. So that's advice for everyone
That's
out
advice for everyone out there who is early with children or they haven't had children yet. Like, actually listen. If you're like me, like I grew up, from an Italian family and we're like martyrs. It's like a family of martyrs. You do everything for everybody else and you put yourself behind everyone. But then after a while, it got to be like way too much. And my brain and my body like couldn't handle it anymore. And I lost myself. And so I want people who maybe are like me too, who tend to do that naturally, to understand you don't have to be a martyr. You can, and not just can, you should do things for yourself because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in a worse place later on. And your child, you know how you would want your child to do everything right for themselves? You are that example for them. So if you're not doing right for yourself, your child is going to learn that behavior and think that they need to be the same way to themselves in the future. And you don't want that for them. So put yourself first, put your relationship well, it's hard to say first.
there.
Put your
Put both
relationship,
things first.
put yourself, your relationship, and your child, like both, all three at the top.
You have
Like
to
it
find a
shouldn't
balance.
be, yeah, it shouldn't be, one or the other.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't want to lose a piece of your identity. Yeah, so then Brock talks about how he wants to find something for himself to do. Also, now they sold the gyms, like something for him to do
Yeah.
to sort of take some of the pressure off Scheana, so that she doesn't have to be working as much all the time, and they can sort of like share that that load of
And he says
the
she
income,
can enjoy herself more.
and she can enjoy herself more. Yeah, because she works very hard.
Okay, so this is where Scheana says, "You do because you're available and present for our daughter when I do have to work." And then she says, like, take out the sports and the manliness aside. And then she gets emotional and she says, "Have you ever thought that maybe this is your second chance at being a dad and you're going to be the best effing dad to this kid?" So,
That one hit him.
okay, this was a very controversial statement. A lot of people listened to it and felt like, second chance at a dad, like, but he is a dad to his children in Australia. And I think that's not what she meant here.
I don't think she meant that at all. No.
It was like because he screwed up the first time, he can do better this second time and also prove to his children who he had screwed up with, look, I'm changed and I want to be that dad to you and I'm going to be there for you. Not to say it'll make it better. What happened with his children is horrible and so sad. But at some point, those kids, or as people, are probably going to want answers or want more. And he needs to show that he is a changed person for them and for himself. But I think that most importantly for those kids who didn't get their dad the way they deserved to get their dad. So I really do think it was looked at as like, you can get it right this time, but it's still so sad that his first two children didn't have that.
Yeah.
I do think that Scheana is just a little bit too much not understanding of what Brock needs too. Like, it shouldn't just be about him proving himself as dad, or do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I do feel like she's putting I mean, I think she's trying to take it off of him by saying like, you're doing all this for me, which is true. Like, we've said this before, like he seems like he's home raising Summer a lot of the time.
hmm
But I guess I didn't realize that she like kind of likes that and wants him to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like she,
Well,
right?
well, Sheena's very involved in everything, and she seems to be a hustler, right? So I think she likes being out there and having all of the different jobs and events. But what I got from like those few scenes is Brock was more saying and I think he just didn't communicate it properly. He wasn't saying I need to go take over and I have an ego and I want to be the breadwinner and sort of the man of the house, as Sheena said, like, put your
Yeah.
manliness aside. I think Brock is more just looking for a piece of identity for him outside of the house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if he just needs, 10 hours a week, let's say, even to start, like, I want to go off and like, I want to start to think about another project or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like something that's allowing him to go out and be a different person, but then come back to the family and be a great dad to Summer Moon.
Yeah. I like your senior middle name. Yeah. I think that they just both want the same thing, or maybe they're both fearful that the other person expects something of them that they're not doing.
Yeah. And I like that Brock suggested, like, we'll go to a therapist. And I think that's something that the therapist will probably pull out.
Yeah, I thought that was great that Brock like suggests a therapist.
Yeah.
How many guys on TV do? Well, it's funny because all right. So we watched The Bachelor. You're a big Bachelor fan.
Huge.
I'm not gonna get into that. But we have noticed that in recent years in The Bachelor, the men talk about, they're much younger. I shouldn't say much younger, but a lot of them are like 22 to 20, like
8.
22. Yeah, but really it's like 22 to 25, most of them. And then there's like your 27, 28-year-olds, but some 30-year-olds. But most of them are like 22 to 25, 26 right now, right? Where these guys are like approaching 40 or over 40. So on The Bachelor, the guys go to therapy a lot and they talk about this like on their one-on-ones now. A lot of them like talk about things that show great emotional intelligence and things that they've like uncovered in therapy, things that they've worked on in therapy. And I thought it was cool that Brock was talking about that. And we've talked about this before in other countries. The men seem to be, and I had this whole conversation with, I said this on other podcasts. I was talking to the Solomon sisters, who's actually Schwartz's stylists, and they are like Bravo lovers also. But I said to them how I've noticed that about the other countries because they've lived like everywhere. And they said that it's very true that in America, men do not talk about their feelings as much. There's much more of like this manly thing that they feel like they need to abide by. And it's what we said. Like, it just seems like over here, it's just not as, emotions are not shown as much as in other places. And so I guess Brock saying that was like a good example of how I just wish all guys.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's very healthy to talk through your feelings.
Do you want to talk about therapy for you at all? Like,
yeah, I mean,
we've
it's
kind of
certainly
talked about it a
someone
little bit,
who's,
right?
one of my struggles has always been communicating and expressing my feelings and sort of just ignoring things and hoping they go away. And then, over time that sort of bubbles up and then, you kind of have a snapping point, or you get fed up and then maybe say things that you didn't want to say, but going through therapy and just learning about how to express my emotions, how to recognize my emotions and how I'm feeling, through like DBT therapy and just speaking to like, a regular therapist, um, definitely helps. It helps to, vent and unload the work week, and get some great advice sometimes.
Mhm.
So I highly recommend it. It's helped me a lot.
Yeah. And even like with the ADHD, I think helps too because they always know about that. So they were like, you can do this instead, you can do that instead.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of great techniques on how to manage my time better and keeping sort of prioritized lists and focusing on the present. And like I think, meditation's been really important with that too, is being more present and in the moment. And that really helps you communicate better and recognize your surroundings and how you're feeling in the moment.
That's good that you can meditate because I can't. I try so hard and I just like it just like stresses me out to try to be that like still
Yeah.
and
Oh, I love it. It's great.
yeah, I wish I did. Um but Brock gets like very emotional during this and he cries and he says in a confessional that it's tough and that's when he thinks back to the parent he was with the other two. He says if he can go back to talk to himself, the 19-year-old version of him, which I did not realize he was 19.
Yeah, I had no idea he
Yeah.
was that young.
So I don't like what happened with his kids. I I can't stand the thought of children not having a relationship with a parent. But I do think that if he has changed and can change, that's all you can do and ask of a person, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of growth that comes from as he's older now and he's learning things and he's a different person. So
But there's a lot of people who are older and don't change. Like the fact that he goes to therapy and
any
he's a good dad now and he,
any
like
people in particular you're thinking of?
oh, am I thinking of people in particular? Like
Older
who?
people that maybe
Jax
never change
Sandoval.
and some
Exactly what
good
I'm
examples.
yeah. But there's a lot of people though. I'm not just thinking about them, but there's a lot of people who don't ever work on themselves, and
Yeah.
till forever, they will never stop and say, "This is something that I can work on." So anyone who's ever willing to change, but willing to change, genuinely willing, not like a facade of I'm going to therapy or a facade of I'm getting better and I'm not like actually working and putting the real work in. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause there's a
Yeah.
difference. I've learned there's a difference. But people who are willing to change and working on it, like I will always show support for. Like even people who've had like major anger issues because a lot of anger issues from people stem from having difficult childhoods,
Yeah.
some trauma and things like that. So like even people who have anger issues, like I was talking to a friend of mine who used to have anger issues that I would never have known they had anger issues. And they said that they're so, I just would have never known because they're so different now, And I just think a lot of people can change. And it's just about, are you willing to change? Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing to realize like the things that you have done that are not good?
Yeah,
Right?
recognizing areas that you need to change in or you need help in is not a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times that's the thought process there is defaulting to, well, I can't admit that I want to change or I have a
I've done
something I
anything
want to work on
wrong.
or I did
Yeah.
anything wrong because it's a sign of weakness, right?
Yeah.
But that I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
And some people realize that and some people don't.
Right. And he says to himself, listen, you're going to be a good dad. Stick it out. You'll figure this out. It would have been a different situation. And now he has to work on continuously building the relationship with his older two kids so that hopefully one day they're willing to bring me back into their life, which is good. Like that's what he's looking to do. So I feel like people need to cut him some slack there and say he's going to work on it. I hope. Then she says, so when he doesn't see how much it is worth to her, it makes me feel like we're not enough. And so I do understand that feeling, but she needs to understand him. This is what we talked about before.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a good scene between them. I liked it.
Yeah, that was a really good scene.
So then we go the worst scene. Schwartz and Sandoval jump into the car like they think they're the Beastie Boys with the music, the glasses, the bopping their heads. So cringe. Hated it. Hated it. Despised it. It grossed me out. I just hated the look of it. Trying to be cool, not cool. You're too old for this. What? You liked it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hard disagree with you there.
That was
Probably the unpopular opinion, but I think the fact that they were trying so hard to be cool is what made it cooler in my eyes.
ew, cooler. Wait, do you
Like,
really think it was
but
cooler?
like an uncomfortable, cringy, douchey kind of cool. Like they're
No, so
bopping
when you
here.
watched it, you thought it was cool for real.
I thought it was just like, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to be in the back of the car with them, like bopping my head too.
Oh my god, this is the difference. So
Kind of like Night at the Roxbury, like the uncomfortableness of like them two thinking like they're the
yes,
coolest guys
uncomfortable
going.
cringe. I felt cringe, but you felt cool. That's different.
Like a I guess a cool to watch scene. Maybe not that they were cool.
Tell me the truth. Did you think they were cool? Just be honest.
Well, I said I wouldn't mind being in the back of the car there,
Okay,
bopping
so
my
you thought
head.
they were cool. So this is who they do it for then. They do it for you guys. But attention to men. The women don't think it's cool.
Oh, I'm sure the women hated this scene.
The women don't think it's cool. Okay.
Wait, do you think other men thought this scene was cool?
I
Or is
mean,
it just me? Like I really do.
I guess so. And now I'm like a little bit confused because I'm trying to think. This kind of reminds me of like, well, one of the things I always tell you, I cannot stand.
Is that
women,
uncool?
No, that women can't stand when guys do, and the guys think that it's cool.
The overbite when I'm dancing?
There's the the overbite. It's called the white man's overbite.
Something like that.
Okay, well, let's not talk about the overbite.
All right, what were you gonna
Do you really
say?
want to put that out there that you do the overbite sometimes?
I think I'm one of many. But what were you gonna say?
So you're fine with that?
I'm okay.
What were we saying? When guys do things to be funny to a girl and it's not funny to a girl, like for instance, when a guy tries to be funny and makes like thrusting motions, like things like that,
You
and
know,
they think it's a girl would no, it's the opposite.
it's the opposite.
Opposite. But you guys all think it's cool? Not cool. I'm like,
It's just like natural instinct sometimes it like pops up. I don't know why those things happen.
no, that's fine, but I guess just leave it for the boys. That's a boy thing then. That's funny. I didn't realize anybody would think it's cool. It's good to know. It's a different perspective. It's the male perspective. So like Sandoval says, cis male perspective.
Yeah. If any other guys are listening and thought it was cool too, please comment, let me know. I need to know. I need to make sure I'm not the only one here. It gave me vibes of like season 7 when they did the same thing in the car.
Which thing?
With Sandoval's song, with they recorded the song in the
and we'll talk
library or
about
whatever
this.
it was.
This was not cool either. That was
I
terrible.
felt the same way. I'm like, oh my God, this is so douchey cool. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like that uncomfortable coolness of like, they think they're so cool that almost makes it like a little bit cool.
Okay.
But you feel uncomfortable for them a little bit. I guess it's kind of hard to explain.
You know what's cool to a girl? Let me give an example of somebody. Like what's really cool to a girl is like the guy, like for instance, Brock taking care of Summer. That to me, like that's attractive.
Yes.
Or it's not even like the man mowing the lawn shit and all that. That's you guys like that shit. It's like obviously a man doing like physical labor outside.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Bringing you home an extra Starbucks.
Yeah, that's cool. The 14-year-old boy thing is what you guys appeals to you guys. That's
the
all.
14?
This is like a 14-year-old boy thing. Like what you thought was cool at 14, if you're still close to 40 and thinking that's cool, that's what I'm saying. It's not cool. But you
Well, you
guys
just reverse the number, 14, 41.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
And you guys think it's cool, but it's not to us. Get it?
Yeah. But I guess the difference here is I'm not looking at that thinking like, oh man, chicks are going to think this is so cool. They're going to think we're the coolest people.
Think that. Yeah.
But when we were like, 15, 16, 17, we
thought
first got our
chicks would think
cars,
it's cool.
we probably thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, we're going to get so many chicks.
Well, it is cool when you're a 14-year-old girl, not when you're approaching.
When we first
40.
met, if I pulled up like that, you would think it was cool. Here's my boyfriend.
No, we're not in a movie. This was a movie. This was a reality TV show made to look like a movie.
Okay.
All right, let's get back.
Let's jump back.
They get the tattoo, and Schwartz says it's like a midlife revival rather than a midlife crisis. And then Sandoval says on his confessional that it's like a trashy midlife crisis. A midlife crisis is trashy no matter what kind of midlife crisis is not trashy.
When I have a midlife crisis, I want it to be classy.
Can you not put that out there in the world that you're going to have a midlife crisis, please?
Doesn't happen to all
Just
men,
sign
no?
across.
They go and they buy a sports car or something, or
Can you just sign across?
all right, I do. Yeah.
What?
I would expect a midlife.
No, it doesn't happen to everybody.
You know what my midlife
with
crisis
bleach blonde hair.
was? Thinking that scene was cool.
Yeah.
That's my midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm done.
Schwartz says he's converted all of his true loves to tattoos. So he had Katie, he had LVP,
LVP.
loves LVP, and now he's getting Gordo and Butters. And Schwartz starts talking about Ariana going to San Francisco for Kyle's Gold Bar Whiskey release. And Sandoval says, again, he thinks that they can live together. And Schwartz says, dude, the bar almost ruined me. He says it's still kind of haunting him. Like, why does he keep going back and forth then? If he knows this, good. But why does he keep like kind of questioning it? Just don't move in with Sandoval. I'm scared. What if they live together?
I really hope they don't.
Can you imagine?
I mean, I've said on past podcasts here where like I feel like this is Schwartz's year to like kind of break free, be his own person. I really hope he doesn't move back in with Sandoval.
No, Tweedledee Tweedledum. You don't have to be Tweedledee Tweedledum. You can move apart and be better.
Yeah. And financially, don't take that on.
Have you ever heard of this thing? They talk about this thing on TikTok. It's called I can't remember, it's called kennel dog syndrome. It's something like with puppies or any dogs. If they're brought together in a house, so if you get them at the same time and they're brought together in a house, right? Apparently, they're so involved with each other that they don't even like really care about the owner as much. There's no like alpha owner because they have like this bond between them. And that's what would happen. Like they just would never be able to move on because they would just be too stuck with each other. They need to just separate.
Unless Cesar Millan walks in. He could help them.
Do you want me to leave that joke in there?
No, with the dogs, no alpha male. Cesar Millan walks in and he just owns the room. You could.
Okay. Sandoval says he has a nice, respectable house. What does that mean, a respectable house? It's so weird. The way he talks is so strange. He says he already has a soda gun and beer kegs and everything. What's a soda gun? Like with the bar? You just get the soda gun? Or I was picturing like a soda gun, like a water gun, but a soda gun. But he means like from the bar?
I guess from the bar. I'm thinking of like the Soda Stream like machines you can get where you make like the seltzer with the flavors.
Oh, yeah.
But like a gun, does that mean maybe it is hooked up to like
which is pretty cool. Not gonna lie. It's not gonna make me live with Sandoval. Schwartz says, you have a soda gun? All right, done deal. Sandoval starts saying, if I can live with my ex, I can live with, and boom. Falls off the chair. Ghosts of Charlotte knocked that boy right off of his chair. It's like, don't you talk about my mommy.
He's just out flat.
Out flat. There's Charlotte. Thank you, Charlotte. I mean, and then Schwartz says that's karma. Ariana got you with that one, but the perfect timing. All of a sudden, I like the song.
Oh,
that's
the cut.
Karma. That's karma. The Scheana song. They cut it with the Scheana song after.
Yeah. APPLES.
All of a sudden, I love the song now. Honestly, I wasn't a fan before, and that scene, I got it. And then I listened to that song later that night because I liked it.
Yeah. It's a bop.
It is a bop. That's karma.
I kind of wish like the lyrics weren't going after like Tom and Raquel because I feel like it would be
whatever.
A longer living song.
Yeah, but now it's kind of just a fun
that's
situation.
just like, yeah.
I feel like that's how I felt at first. Now that I could see how more calculated Raquel is, which I did see in the beginning, and then I was like, oh, she's working on it, blah, blah. And now I'm like, no. Now I'm just like, whatever. It's a song, not a big deal. It's called the diss track. It's fine. They don't say their names.
Sheena's up there with all the top
not on
rappers.
Billboard Top 100.
Yeah, all the top rappers with the diss tracks.
Yeah.
And Scheana Shay right next to him. Then they did the Christmas song too, which was a bit of a diss, right?
Okay, so that I did. I did think it was weird to do an extra diss song, the Christmas
as a Christmas song, which was actually a good Christmas song.
It was a good Christmas song. She said they may release it this year without that verse, which is probably what they're going to do.
They should.
Yeah, they should, because that was.
We actually enjoyed it, and then we heard some of the lyrics. We're like, what?
What? I'm like, I can't play this.
This is not going to be a yearly Christmas song for us. Next to All I Want for Christmas.
No.
Okay, so now the next scene we have Allie and James go to the Face Gym. I think that's what it's called. A face gym.
Yes, sir.
They walked in. I'm like, what the heck is a face gym?
You know me. I do that weird shit.
I was just gonna say you did like the face yoga stuff for a while. I've been doing that shit
for years because like if we work out our bodies, why not work out our face?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes.
I mean, they really slap that shit.
Oh yeah, they really, yeah. But I've never seen something like that before on TV, so I thought it's kind of cool. I think it was good that James went with her. It's like a little daytime date.
So Allie wants to get somebody to watch the dog. And James doesn't want to leave the dog and says it's because he's been through so much trauma. We get this. Like, we don't get this because we have never had a biting dog. And I think that's what a lot of people were missing.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for Allie too.
I see both sides.
Yeah. But I feel so bad for him with this because he is so nervous to leave Graham. Graham has bitten before and he had to go to a shelter because of biting. And I think he's afraid that if Graham bites again, he could lose Graham. God forbid a shelter does something to Graham because of it, you know? So I think he's just terrified.
Yeah, I definitely understand. He's probably terrified of losing the dog again and, you know, doesn't want another strike. The one thing that I wasn't sure though, like, why wouldn't they said to call Samantha, I think her name was, right? At Vanderpump Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is her name Samantha?
I don't know. Samantha?
Samantha? Wouldn't that be a trustworthy option considering you got the dog back from Vanderpump Dogs? So like
Yes, that would
they
be
know some of the history.
Yeah.
I would rather leave
Yeah, you're right.
Hippie with Vanderpump Dogs than a dog walker that comes
Unless
over, a babysitter,
LVP
or
said to him, like, you know, he can't, whatever again. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, you're right. It would
because
be
it
more trustworthy, but I would still be scared. I mean, we don't like, you know, leaving our kid for a couple days. So I do understand.
yeah,
Just
because
the
she bites.
whole
She goes around
No,
biting everyone.
Thankfully, she's never. Did she ever bite ever? No.
I don't think so. No.
Knock on wood, she's not going to start biting now.
Just goes around walking, biting people now.
No, my little cousin used to bite my ankles when I was a kid. I used to hate walking around it when he was like a little crawler, like 2 years old or whatever, 1 year old. He used to come up to us and bite our ankles like a dog. He's a really great adult now. So he grew up.
Grew out of the biting.
He grew out of the biting, but it was a rough stage. But no, I feel so bad for him. And then I feel for her too. She wants to go to her friend's wedding and she's like trying to convince him. But she brings up some great points about not sleeping in the same room. And I thought it was good that sometimes I worry. I'm like, is Allie really in this for the long run with James, or
Yeah.
is this a temporary thing? And so I guess her saying that she wanted to sleep in the same bed as him made me feel better about her being more serious about him.
I agree with that.
I feel like James probably is too like coddling with the dog because of how happy he is to have Hippie back. And is just like the mom who wants to be with her baby all the time.
Yeah.
Like it almost reminds me of like a postpartum mom, honestly. Like the way he's like behaving.
Yeah. Super protective, but still relatively new living arrangements. Like if this was, 6 months down the road, then I would say, yeah, okay, that you should probably figure something out.
Yeah.
Um,
I do feel a bit for Allie, obviously wanting to go somewhere, but okay, we'll talk about them again later because they come up again.
Yeah.
Ariana next. Ariana talking to Dan while she's working out, and it's just short, but she asked him to go to San Francisco with her, and he says like, just come for the cuddles, because she's like, you don't have to do anything with us during the day, like just like at night. And I really like, we don't know Dan, and I always say it takes 3 seasons to get to know a person, I feel like, on these shows, but so far what I see of Dan, I like. He's going for the cuddles. He's going to hang out with her at night. He's going to support her. He, in New York City, is cooking for her after her shows. He's going to Coachella with just the girls. Like, he seems good right now. I like the way he communicates with her. I notice how more full their conversations are. Like, I tried to picture that same conversation with Sandoval, and he'd just be like, cool, yeah, all right, sure, cool, man, cool. Yeah, I gotcha. Where Dan actually like asked her questions. He asked if she heard anything back from the counter with the lawyers. They have like a whole discussion about, I just feel like it's different. I just feel like already seeing that one conversation, she must feel so much more.
it's a two-way relationship,
Yeah.
like with communication, right? Yeah, we saw that. And he does seem very genuine. I know it's a reality show and we don't know him in person, but it does seem very genuine.
I like his vibe.
Do you think she was saying that he doesn't have to be hanging out with everyone when he comes because maybe he didn't want to film with everyone?
He doesn't really want to film. Yeah.
Okay, so she was kind of saying like, it's okay. Like, I know you don't really want to film, like without saying it, but just come and you can hang out at night, and things like that.
Yeah. He's not like, I want to be a reality TV star.
Yeah.
So then Ariana brings up like when Dan asks if she's heard anything back from the lawyers, Ariana says no, but Craig asks if they can have the downstairs to meet with the realtor. And Dan acknowledges like it's good that they're moving along at least. And that's when he says it'll be good for her own sanity. Like, how can she even rest at home right now? She can't, like, because And he says, like, how do you ever recover? So that's what I mean. Like, he's bringing up good, valid points to her.
Yeah. She's living in a non, mentally safe space.
Relaxed state for a
Relaxed
long
state,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. At this point, thankfully, it's only a few months, but the whole Craig thing is funny too. Like, we thought, like, Craig coming in and asking. Craig seems nice.
He
though.
seems really nice.
Yeah, but him coming in, she's like super. I almost wonder if she's like overly nice to him because she wants to be like, look, he calls me a bitch and I'm going to show you how nice I am. Do you feel like that at all or no?
I didn't feel like that, but now that you said it, I could see that. Like, almost like be overly nice to
Yeah.
Craig who's a new person come in so that he doesn't think like, because I'm sure she probably thinks Tom's whispering in Craig's ear, left and right.
She is very nice to people though. And everyone who has met her, everyone who's messaged me, people, comments, whatever, who has met her has said how nice she is.
I
And
believe
she
it.
truly is. So maybe she's not the easiest all the time. You don't have to be the easiest all the time. Maybe you're not super bubbly all the time. You go through your moments. But I do think she's a genuinely nice person. She's considerate to other people. She's always empathetic to other people, I feel. And she could be a bitch to his assistant, and she's not. So, I don't know. SUR Brunch with Jax. Here we go. I had the behind the scenes from this. One of my followers who's very sweet. Shout out. She listens to this also. Shabana, she was very nice. She gave me a whole bunch of behind the scenes pictures and videos. I'm going to post some new ones, I think, too. Not so new ones. I'm going to post them again, I think. But from last year at this brunch, and it was so interesting to see the other perspective of it. Like, even the part, like, she recorded Schwartz and Sandoval going up to them, and like to see them come up from like the other angle on the camera was cool. It's funny, it seemed more awkward from her angle than it did on the camera, because when we were watching, we were like, oh, Sandoval's going up to Ariana, oh my god, because we didn't know how much they had actually already filmed near each other,
Yeah.
Schwartz comes up to Katie, and Katie says to him, how many tablecloth shirts do you own? Because all of his shirts look like tablecloths or couches. Do you think Lisa really didn't know they were having a brunch?
No.
How would that be possible?
No.
That was so weird. It seemed like she didn't, though, but she's just like a really good actress.
No. And here's why I think. Her business partner, Guillermo, I don't think.
Who, sorry, I know you're a boy, but very cute. Go ahead.
What?
He's like George Clooney.
Oh, I thought you were calling me cute.
You're cute too.
Guillermo, as her business partner for all those years, and him knowing the history with Jax and Lisa, do you think he would surprise her with that? That Jax is throwing a brunch at SUR with James? Like,
Wait,
do you think
can you repeat this? I was just thinking about something.
So like
else.
Guillermo knew about it, right? He knew James and Jax were throwing this brunch. He says, we're packed. I forget what he says exactly, but they're packed. The place is sold out.
Yeah.
Do you think he would throw that onto Lisa in the moment there while they're filming, when he knows
It
the
depends
history?
If Lisa's not there enough, I guess, a lot. But yeah.
We wouldn't give her a heads
No,
up,
I know,
like a
probably
text,
not,
or yeah.
Probably not.
Hey, Jax is throwing a brunch with James at SUR.
Yeah.
Let me tell you on camera.
So James comes, and when he's talking to Lisa, they show the old scenes, which are like my favorite. When James is like, don't cross me in front of Lisa. But they left out my favorite line. Be a good boy, old man. That's my favorite. I was so mad they left it out. If your goal is to show people how great this show is, that's why they think that they show like all the old scenes of the new viewers.
Well, then
Be a good boy, old man. It was like
even the fact that they had to put like Jax extra employee. I'm like, oh, I guess there's a lot of people that are maybe.
We thought of it as a dig to Jax. You think it was for the new people?
Oh, I thought it was for the new people.
Oh my god, we laughed because we thought it was like a dig.
No.
Like extra employee. I think it was a dig. It's to be funny.
No.
You think it's for the new people?
I guess it could be a little both,
Didn't
but
we
like,
talk about this in the
but I also
movie?
thought it was for the new people. Like, and I think for Brittany, I forget what they put under Brittany when she's there.
Extra employees.
Was it
ex-wife?
It's something like ex-wife. What?
Well, I mean, who knows what's going on with them? What do you?
I forgot what they put under Brittany's, but like I got the sense that they're like showing the new viewers that just started since like Sandoval, let's say that.
Okay.
Hey, here's Jax. He used to be on the show for all these years. He's an extra employee.
That's so funny.
Whereas we see Jax, and it's like, yeah, Jax is back. Well, not everyone says that, but
we did though.
He's good TV.
Jax hugs Lisa or whatever, and Lisa brings up that Jax called her superfluous. And Jax says he doesn't even know what that means. There is no way Jax knew what that was. Like he said, I believe him. And they showed the clip from the toast. He said prop, but she says superfluous. And I thought it was so funny. And I was going to ask you, do you know what superfluous means?
I was just going to tell you, I do not know what superfluous means.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that Jax knew superfluous.
No,
but
absolutely not.
it's funny because Lisa was like really clear that that was the word, and then they showed them looking it up, and Jax goes, "Oh, superfluous." I thought it was so funny.
When Jax walked up to the table, he's like, "Can I sit here?" And Lisa's like, "If you have to,
What would
if you must."
What would you guess superfluous means based on those context clues?
I would lean right away towards like sort of materialistic, superficial.
What? What does that have to
No,
do with what they're saying?
I don't know. Like you're not really.
Think about it. If somebody's not
Again, it's
not necessary, like
a learning
extra,
session on the.
it's an extra thing. Stop bringing up the word.
You're ordering food and like a side of ranch would be superfluous. It's not always needed.
Her wording, superfluous, is actually superfluous, but she's got her vernacular is spectacular. She's got really good.
That was good.
Thank you. Okay. So anyway, I just thought it was so funny because Jax gets all the words wrong. And when he's like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, Lisa, do you think he would use the word superfluous? Jax says he's upset that in the last 3 years she didn't check on them and his wife and the baby and all of that, and that she wrote him off after 10 years. And he apologized. He said if he said anything in the heat of the moment, he apologized. I mean, I get it. Like if somebody didn't check on you, I think that is weird. And then but he says after she sent a gift, at least she sent the gift.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff there that we just don't know. Some behind the scenes, just.
I mean, she knows how douchey Jax is. So.
Yeah, and I mean, how many years did she protect Jax and give him second chances to continue to work at SUR when he was just consistently messing
she
up?
does with all those men.
All the men.
She keeps doing them, but she
Yeah.
won't do it with Kristen. That still bothers me to this day. And then she says she wasn't going to bring it up to him, but when he's putting his name on a flyer about her business, that she'd be remiss if she didn't say anything to him. So that's where I'm like, oh, so maybe it really did happen.
Yeah. So then Jax asks if he can give her a hug, and he says he loves her, and she says she kind of loves him too, even though he's annoying.
Yeah, so she like does love him, like even though. All right, so then this is where Jax goes to the tables with all the girls, and that's where in the behind the scenes that I had, you could hear him talking about Sandoval with the houses. So I was so like excited to see what he actually said. I didn't think it was about Schwartz. I thought he was like just complaining about something.
Oh, because he said Tom. Yeah.
He's like, all right, Schwartz like, don't tell anyone. And then he goes and literally tells Ariana right freaking away. And Jax says, I'm not before he says that, Jax says, I'm not a gossiper. And then they all laugh hysterically. Like if you look at all their faces.
Hysterical.
So and then he even laughs, and Ariana's like, Jax, you're the biggest gossip I've ever known. He's the king of gossip, and he literally had just said on the Valley, like last week's episode, to Jasmine how he loves to gossip, and then he comes here and he says he's not a gossiper. What does he even say? He just says whatever comes to his mind in the moment. He doesn't think before he speaks. He just says whatever comes to his mind, right?
I almost feel like Jax says things that he wants to convince himself that he is. I'm not a gossiper, but I am a gossiper. I'm not a cheater, but I am a cheater.
Maybe.
I'm a changed man, but I'm not a changed man.
And Katie, speaking of changed man, Katie says, I'm not a fan of Jax Taylor. Whenever somebody has to like talk about how much they've changed or just trying to sell themselves to be something, the less of that they are. Ooh, very good.
A great line.
Yeah, that's a really great line.
If you have to be a salesman to convince people that you're this or that, just do it. People remember actions a lot quicker than words.
No, it's so true.
Right? What's the saying? Actions are bigger than words?
Actions speak louder than words.
Speak louder than words. I was close.
Yeah, that's true. Like I thought about it after she said that. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like the people who always say, it's so true. I thought she's very smart. Katie's a wise one.
Yeah.
She's always right. I don't care what people say.
Right once again.
Oh, so this is a scene. Then they cut back to the scene with Jax and Schwartz. That's what you were talking about. And Schwartz says, but he pitches a very decent proposal. It just makes sense. We have bars together. We work together. And Jax says, you want to get married? Because that's pretty much the only thing you have left to do. And he's right. Like sometimes Jax is right. Many times he's not, but sometimes he's right.
Yeah.
And Schwartz is like, we're cohabitating. Please don't tell anybody.
And then 40 minutes later,
he tells everyone.
Tells the table.
I mean, like, it's just, and Jax is like, I'm not going to tell anybody.
I can't tell anybody.
Oh my God. So funny. Lala does a great impression of Sandoval. And she's like, I've got a bright idea, man. How about when we get Ariana out, you just take over? Woo! And then they all crack up. And Ariana does say it could be like the Mojo Dojo Casa house until the dawn of the next century. Like, she doesn't give a shit what happens with it anymore, as
Yeah.
long as she gets what belongs to her. So I think like all the help from everyone about the house, even though it was frustrating to listen to, did help her to just say like, let me move on.
She needed that push a little bit. I think, yeah, Scheana and Brock coming over and helping out that time. Like, I think
Yeah.
having that support.
Dan also
Dan,
saying to her, when Lala and Scheana were actually compassionate in their words to her, not when they were talking about her behind the scenes, which wasn't really as much Scheana as it was Lala, I felt. And then James invites everybody to his pool party. And here is something. I don't know if you noticed this.
What?
So Lala jokes in front of everyone after the pool party invite. And she says, I need to call my husband to make sure that it's okay that I come. And she pretends to call Brock. And Brock pretends to pick up the phone. And he says, hello, Lala, you're calling me. And then poor Scheana gives him a face. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. I saw it the
Wait, how
second
did I
time.
miss that?
I didn't see it because there was like something right before it. Here, I'll show
Oh, because Scheana was at the table there, right?
you. Okay, so you just watched it.
Yeah, so I just saw the scene. I did not pick up on that the first 2 times I watched it. And it's a little strange.
So like, here's the thing. It's not that strange if you don't know that your friend, like, it's strange because Scheana literally has expressed to Lala and Brock and all of them how much she's been worrying about her husband leaving her for Lala because of the whole Raquel thing.
Yeah. And
this
everyone
comes up
jumping in the
later.
comments that we said before, like,
So like,
you're aware of this.
Lala making that joke.
Well, I don't know if this is on Lala. Like,
it's
just
on
look.
both of them.
Well, just looking at it back there, Lala's just saying, hold on, let me call my husband. And then she goes, hello. And then Brock.
No, she like looked at him. She was talking to Brock. It was like
Okay.
a thing between them. This was Lala who started that.
Yeah. And then poor Sheena's face. Like, just the
Like
uncomfortable,
trying
like,
to smile, but like,
yeah.
you know, she's struggling so much with this. That's so stupid. I felt that was stupid, personally.
Would you say it was immature?
I wouldn't just say it was immature. I would say it was
Poor taste.
It was in poor taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Lala. Lala is extremely inconsiderate of other people's feelings if they don't make sense to her.
I agree with that.
And it's just another example of that. But like, you know, your friend is struggling with this so much. Why are you, I don't know.
It's a weird thing. Very weird thing.
It's weird. Anyway, go watch that if you need to see it. It was interesting. So James invites Sandoval after, and James says he doesn't feel like as men that he doesn't think that it should get like that. And Sandoval says he agrees and it's good that he recognizes that, and that's big. And like James, they always have this thing between them. So James is like, well, you need to recognize how you sound, bro. I hope it's not going to be like in 6 months that you look back and are like, oh shit, I sounded like a fool. So like James tries to apologize, but then Sandoval is not taking on any accountability, because usually you would expect somebody to say like, yeah, I agree with you. That's you could say that's good that you realize that. I realize that also I was wrong in doing this, but instead he didn't say that back. So then James is like, all right, what about you, bro? You know what I mean? Like, it's just never, it's always whose D is bigger. Or who's,
I mean, in that situation, if I'm apologizing to a friend or someone's apologizing to me, like, I would have expected Sandoval there to own some of his stuff in that previous conversation. Like, sorry, I brought up the fact that Raquel, said she was going to leave you, or was hoping that you wouldn't give up the drinking. Like, apologize for bringing that up on camera. Like, apologize for your low blows when James trying to, sort of clear the air there.
All right, so now they all show up to James's house, and Jax is there, and it's like old school VPR, which is fun. Like, they show up to the house. It just reminds me of like an old house party, and I like that.
Yeah, I love that James's house is like the house to be at now this season, right?
Lala comes in, and Scheana says, hey, Sporty Spice. And Lala says, I thought it was Scary Spice. She says, I'm more of the platforms, and you're more of the sneakers. And Lala says, then I'm definitely posh. Katie goes, no, I'm posh. Like, with such
Yeah, he's like,
Kind of
no, you're not taking that away from me.
no.
Katie's
And
absolutely posh spice.
Sheena's face, and Sheena's face there was the way she said it, and she was like, "No, I'm posh."
So good.
They talk about Allie telling Katie about what's going on with her and James, and I thought this was interesting because they're trying to explain to James how much Allie supports him in everything that he does, which I thought was good, and I liked hearing that also. So James like hears that, but I don't feel like they get his anxiety. The only person who I feel like reaches out and actually physically puts her hand on him, which is what he needs, is Ariana. Again, Ariana. I feel like Ariana is like always one of the most empathetic, where everybody else is kind of like, I don't know. She just is always the one to kind of reach out when somebody needs her. And we see this later when she's talking to Scheana, like to physically be there for a person and to mentally be there too, and like emotionally, and to like just understand what a person might be feeling. And she's like, we know how hard it is. Where then Lala and Scheana get upset and they're like, we have kids. Like, we should know. You can't, here's the thing. We have kids, right?
Yeah.
We have kids. You can't say that to somebody who doesn't have kids, because I acknowledge that when we didn't have kids, we never understood what it would be like when you have, like, how different it actually is.
You can
But-
think you understand, but you don't.
And also for many people who don't want to have children, or even people who do have children, their babies are their babies. Like if anything happens to Bear, we are like a mess.
Yeah,
So
he's a part of the family.
right. So I feel like they should understand that more. But Lala and Scheana are kind of like annoyed, where Lala really is more annoyed that James is even comparing it. And it's not like it's not about like, oh, you understand this more, you don't understand. It's just about understanding how a person feels and trying to put yourself in their shoes. And he's struggling because he also is afraid of the dog being in other hands and possibly biting. And I don't think that they're thinking about that. I don't think
Yeah.
Lala thinks of the full picture a lot, or maybe doesn't until like a long time after.
No, all James needed in that moment was just acknowledgement of his feelings. And he was getting a little emotional by the end of that scene there. And I think, they just weren't understanding that he could have these feelings and that's okay.
Lala said it's very clear that James comes first in the relationship and Allie comes second. You can't allow to have the man ever come first. But I don't know if I feel that. I feel like James is like very supportive with Allie. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really do feel like he's very supportive with Allie, and now with her career.
Yeah, I don't feel like James is not supportive at all.
I don't, and that's not to give James too much credit. If you're listening and you haven't heard this before, like we've said, we know that there's allegations against James, but those allegations have not come out fully at all. They're only alluded to. And if they ever come out fully, then we will speak on that. But until that happens, I personally feel like we have to judge what we're seeing.
We're judging what we're seeing on the show right now, yeah.
Because I don't know, because nothing is ever fully said. Everything is alluded to or hinted at, and so it's very confusing. And like it said, they say they're going to talk about it, and then they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're judging what we're seeing. I just wanted to say that and get that out there. So
they show the airplanes again. LOL.
Oh, I wrote a note. They show the airplanes again. Yeah, so then they do.
So they showed the airplanes when they started cutting to the outside part of the party.
So they're outside, and Jax is talking about how he's drinking because he's a father, and they have a babysitter, and the wife says it's okay, I'm gonna drink. And Scheana says every time Jax tells you he's a dad, take a drink. Ariana says, oh, we're all gonna be fucked up, because it's true. This is all he constantly talks. Even on his stories, he's always posting about being a dad and a husband, which the husband thing now is like so ironic. And I'm like,
I do think he's a good dad, though, right?
I think so.
I mean, at least from
I don't
what
want
we
to judge
see.
him as a dad. He seems like a good dad. Yeah, he does. He seems very caring towards his son, and like
you can be a good dad and be a shit husband.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So James asks Katie if she's talked to Jax yet about the rumors. And Schwartz is like, he's not happy with you because you found a picture on Reddit. And Katie explains that there were rumors about Jax cheating on Brittany that thousands of people saw, but now Jax is blaming her for the rumors being out there in the world. And she's like, the man doesn't know how the internet works, which is true. Like, this is not on Katie.
No. Katie's not making brand new posts and putting stuff out there.
And now we know that is seemingly, although I guess again it's kind of like the James allegations, the Jax allegations, except this is more alluded to that Jax has been cheating on Brittany, possibly with his publicist.
Yeah, there's definitely some evidence out there, I think, that makes it suspicious.
But they get into their little argument and they have the whole like, I'm cool back and forth. Like Jack is like, cool. Like when she says, whatever, I'm glad. He's like, it's cool. It's fine. Like making fun of her. And it's just, they always will have their thing because like Katie said, she just doesn't like people who do shady shit.
Yeah.
She doesn't like people who do shady shit. You're shady. You're not going to be a friend of Katie's.
Yeah, and she's gonna call it out.
She's going to call it out. You could be shady. You could be a friend of Scheana's. You could be shady. You could be a friend of Lala's.
Yeah.
You can't be a friend of Katie.
Yeah.
Even Ariana's actually, but not Katie's. And Katie explains that this is why there was relationship strain between her and Brittany because of Jack. So now that they're separated, let's see if she's talking to Brittany again. I'm not sure.
See if there's a difference. Yeah. So the next scene, Schwartz goes and pulls Ariana aside and says, hey, can I chat with you real quick? Just a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
And they go sit down on the two lawn chairs, and Schwartz starts to say, hypothetically, brings the situation about him moving into the house, and she kind of stops him right there, like, Jack's already told me. And Schwartz like, he promised he wouldn't tell. Like,
why does he do that? Why does he pretend like it's a hypothetical situation? I think that's the whole part that people don't like about Schwartz. They feel like he plays like the dumb, like, oh
yeah, let me like kind of put my toes in the water here.
Be funny, silly.
See how cool it is, like, yeah. And then based on the reaction I get, then I can either go all in or whatever,
right.
Either way, or pull back.
Yeah. Ariana gives him a different reaction than he expected and that we expected, right? Like, I was really surprised at how she was so smiley with him.
She was super smiley with him. Yeah. She was very, And, Schwartz acknowledged, like, I know we're in a better place now. I feel like I could talk to you about this.
Yeah. I do feel like her unleashing and getting all that shit out helped her to calm.
Yeah. I think it got a lot of it out. And now that's why she's able to be around everyone and, more like normal Vanderpump Rules.
I'm sure she misses him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sure she misses Schwartz as a friend.
But anyway.
And then, so they bring up the loan. What did they say? $22,000?
$22,000.
Or I was like, well, when I'm out, someone's got to cover that. And it's like, oof.
That's crazy.
22.
Crazy.
That's insane. Schwartz would be.
Sell that shit.
So dumb to do that.
Sell that shit.
To lock into that.
Sell that shit and then wait till if you have another person in the future you want to be with and buy a house with, you do that. You don't move in with him, spend all that amount of money. You don't go get a new house with the other nincompoop. Like, you need to just drop it and go do something.
I'm hoping he was just considering it for the show here as like a bit of a storyline.
As of right now, I think he's still in his apartment.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good news.
Good.
Okay. So that was a nice scene. Then we cut to Scheana, and Scheana is telling Brock she wants to go home.
Yeah.
Because she wants to tuck her daughter in for the night. Now,
read the Halloween book.
Shabana, who was there, was saying to me that she was exhausted after being at SUR the whole day. So she's sure that Scheana, after filming this at night too, was probably like, so she's like, I don't even know how they did it because it was an exhausting day. I don't know how they filmed for so long. So
filming is probably more exhausting.
I would have been like, I want to go home at 9:00. Like, I don't know how.
Filming's more exhausting than just being at a party and not being filmed, because your senses are more up. You're aware of like the cameras and what's going on, and
you're on
training.
Sorry,
you're on. Yeah,
you're on. Yeah, and she wants to talk to the baby, and she keeps saying how she feels like she doesn't get to do those things. And then it also stuck, like, watching her say this and knowing recently in recent time, like 2024, Jax was saying that Scheana basically was a bad mom for being out all the time.
Yeah, what did he say?
So I'm like, dude, she's literally talking on here about how she wanted to go home, and so that's why you used it against her. Like, screw you.
Yeah,
that pissed me off. And it sucks because I like Jax for mostly just TV show reasons, but
yeah, I mean, the entertainment value is great.
She struggles. She's wanting to go. Brock's wanting to stay and hang out. Lala's making a face. Scheana is just whatever.
And then Sandoval and Kyle show up. So James is saying hi to Sandoval and Kyle, and Kyle had never been there before. So James goes to bring Kyle for a tour. And as they walk away, Sandoval says to Hippie, "Oh, what did he say? If I ever see your mom again, I'll tell you you said hi." If I ever see your mommy again, I'll tell you. I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? That was nuts. That was, and on camera too. Then Scheana talks to Kyle about performing Apples at the Gold Bar Whiskey event. Yes. She's like, 2 songs, right? 2 songs. I'm going to do 2 songs. Scheana says to Sandoval, have you heard my song yet? And she like looks away, like, and he's like, yeah. And he says, it was just like everything. All of it has been a lot. And she's the one who brings up like capitalizing it on everything, I think. And she says she understands that, because I do agree.
It was too much. I would not, if somebody did that of my friends, I would not be capitalizing off of it the way that many of them have. I'm saying many of them. It's really Scheana and Lala, although James has, but James is a little different with
A
Raquel.
lot more minimal, yeah.
But, they really did capitalize off of
yeah.
it. And I don't think that was right. I think it was too much. Did we enjoy it as viewers who were pissed at him? Of course. But, Scheana was supposed to be his friend. And even though he's an asshole for what he did, I think it was a little too far.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
so I totally get his perspective. I do. But he's just an a-hole the way he brings everything back. Okay. Because then it becomes this whole competition of, well, you were the other woman once too.
In a relationship.
Are you kidding me?
When he dropped that as she was walking away, and then you see Kyle Chan's face as he turns, like, oh boy, why did you say that?
And by the way, before that too, the girls brought up, Lala and Ariana brought up, there's a lot of like male yelling going on. Like,
uncomfortable. What is going on over there?
And when they said that, Lala's like, what did Lala say? Like, she yelled. She was like,
oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
She's screaming, oh, hell no.
And Ariana's face, like, I love that. And
Katie's like, he's disgusting. He's disgusting. Dude, you don't bring that up from
because
those aren't comparable.
Has to him, it makes him look better if he brings up the past. She was a 21-year-old. Again, that is really young. I mean,
yes.
Was it good? No. She says she didn't know he was in a marriage. Honestly, I can't imagine Scheana, even though I know people have everything they want to say about Scheana. I agree with some of it. I don't know if Scheana would do that to a person who has children.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I really think she didn't know too much in that situation.
But let's say she did it too. Terrible. But again, it was 20 years ago. He's 41 years old. Dude, shut up.
He's trying to lessen what he did by calling out what she did 21 years ago.
Right.
To no one in this group and had nothing to do with anything.
And she goes off.
Yeah.
Off. And then when she leaves, Ariana was saying even before that she wanted to check on Scheana, like she said to Lala. She tries to go check on Scheana. She tried
to check, and then Sandoval was there.
She's like, never mind.
Maybe not.
But then she does when she's leaving. She hugs and she's like, what does she say?
She hugs
like,
Scheana,
honey, I'm so sorry. He's a monster. And
yeah.
Sheena's like crying hysterically. She's so upset. Scheana did bring up to him like, I had the restraining order because Sandoval's like, you weren't the victim here. Like this was.
Well, he's like, why are you acting like you're the biggest victim here? And she's like, I'm not saying that.
Right. And he says even Ariana hasn't been doing this,
yeah.
Which is true. It is true.
Yeah.
And it is true. Scheana did hit Raquel, whether she punched her in her face or she pushed her against the wall, which then made her head hit the wall, which is bad too. She did hit Raquel, but she expected, and that's what I kept saying last year. I'm like, guys, look at the way she's talking to Sandoval. She just doesn't want him to speak this at the reunion. And he did.
Yeah.
And he did. And so I think that was a lot of like why she went even harder after him was because he decided to speak this and bring this up at the reunion. And she is a big retaliator, Scheana.
Yeah.
Right? She really retaliates and goes hard after people after. I would not want to mess with Scheana because I know she'll come after. Like Lala says, she's scrappy.
Yeah, and then Brock is sort of, talking to Sandoval like, dude, you're 41. Like she was 20, 21.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kyle was saying something, but we couldn't really hear what that was.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't give Kyle a mic.
Yeah, he was like saying something like, I want to know what Kyle's saying to Tom.
And his face the whole time, like he was just like, oh my God. And, you could tell he's like the peaceful one. And he was just like, holy shit. And Kyle is clearly a good friend to Scheana and Sandoval.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this is a weird position for him to be in because he seems to be really close to both of them.
Yeah. And we've learned a lot on Kristen's podcast lately with, Kyle.
Did he talk about Scheana? I can't remember.
Well, no, just his whole sort of reasoning behind why he kind of stuck with Tom a little bit.
Right.
And the numerous times that he did call out Tom. And, I think we learned a lot about Kyle on that podcast.
Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to see what he actually said to him there, but we don't have it.
I know. But yeah, I mean, that was an ending. And then I like when Scheana left and she was like to Allie, she's like, Allie, I'm sorry for yelling in your house. I know that feeling, or like I feel like our friend, like one of our friends has done that before. We've done that before or something. Like it'd be like, sorry, I got mad at you here. You always feel like bad for doing that.
You feel bad. Yeah.
Like disrespecting
their house. Yeah.
But yeah, that was good.
That was quite an episode.
Yeah, I feel like next week will be the next two episodes I think are going to be really good. And I am interested in seeing this reunion.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another recap.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
We're just going to take a quick break and give a shout out to Draw Me Bitch, the person who did our podcast artwork, who is amazing. Please check her out on Instagram and on TikTok. She also has her website, shopmebitch.com, where you can buy coloring books, stickers, gifts for all things Bravo. But she now has a subscription on her page, which gets you access to weekly Vanderpump coloring pages. Definitely go check her out. You will not regret it. And I also would like to give a shout out to our friend Peyton. She is Glorified Gossip Girl on Instagram. Right now, her account is down because of weird rules that don't make sense. So please go follow her back up at Glorified Gossip Girl, but with a U for the girl. And she also is Glorified Vintage Girl. She does amazing work. A lot of Bravo Lebs wear her and order from her, including Ariana Maddox, Danielle Rivera, Katie Maloney. Go check her out and support her. Her website is on her IG page, or it's www.distressedout.myshopify.com. She is a super hard worker. She's great at what she does, and she's an amazing person as well. So 2 fabulous girls to check out. And now back to the pod. Okay, we are back for our news portion, but this time we also have some boots on the ground tea with M. M is back.
Hello. Woo woo.
And M went to Schwartz and Sandy's
Yes,
last
I
night
did, for the Vanderpump Rules watch party after live streaming.
So we will hear some information from you, and I'm excited to hear that. But we did have something kind of major happen that we're going to share today. So we're going to move the Boots on the Ground Schwartz and Sandy's tea to next week so that we can cover the other things we wanted to talk about, and then this literally piping hot brand new tea that M got, and I will share what I know from my source as well. And that has to do with the supposed Vanderpump Rules break in filming. We will talk about Jackson, Brittany, and something else we have, some inside information that we got as well. And besides that, today we'll talk about Ariana and Sandoval's response back to Rachel Levis's lawsuit. And by the way, one of my followers pointed out, and it was cracking me up. She's like, you always say Rachel's last name differently. And I said, I know, I do, because I naturally say Levis. I don't know. It's like I make it fancier, Raquel Levis. But I think most people say Levis. I don't know what she says. I should play the beginning. By the way, this sounds mean. I don't mean it to sound mean, but I can't stand in the beginning of her podcast when she says, this is Rachel Savannah Levis. Because, hold on, I'm going to go listen right now, make sure. The fact that she adds her middle name in there, and I feel like it's because she still feels like Rachel sounds too plain, which is, then I'm like, just make it Raquel again. And she says some of her friends call her Raquel
I was
still.
just about to say that. I was like, and half of her people still call her Raquel. So it's like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Here, hold on. Let's listen to Rachel Savannah Levis. Hold on. See how she says it, and I'll try to keep saying it like that.
And
Levis. So I'm going to try to do that. If I don't, sorry.
Also, that podcast music reminds me of that commercial with it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Oh, this is the one that reminds you of that?
Like, or a newscasting or something. Like, they're about to tell us, like, the breaking, like, weather news.
I agree. It's very newsy, very news-ish. It's an interesting song choice. But anyway, Rachel Savannah Levis, her lawsuit and their response back to it. And if we have time, Rachel's new beau, not Stassi's beau, just a new boyfriend.
Right.
So
not to be confused with Beau.
No, don't think Beau's that type to, All right, ready?
Ready to do this.
So Sandoval and Ariana both responded, and this is going to be hard because we have to kind of sum it up, but we'll just explain what we took from it. Basically, what Sandoval is trying to do here in his response back is they're both trying to get it dismissed, okay?
Right.
And we're not lawyers. We don't know lawyer talk. Our best lawyer talk comes from, Johnny Depp case and Emily D. Baker, and who I'm waiting for her response about this because I want to hear what she's going to say. But They both basically want this dismissed. And Sandoval is saying to, if you saw a video I posted, it sounds like the wording he's using is to say it's confusing because it can be read as, oh, Rachel actually took the recordings and sent them, right? But
Yeah, but then in her podcast, she made it a point that in the recording, you see, like, Tom's photo tinier at the
yes,
bottom, so it couldn't have been recorded on her phone, I guess.
yes, and you can play with sizes, but I don't think you can play with them that much so that it's that type of look,
Right.
and Ariana even
Yeah.
confirmed this actually in Ariana's response back. She did say that Levis was the big picture and there was a small picture of Sandoval there. So she confirmed that part of it. So in saying that, it's really just the lawyers using special wording, I guess, to make it seem that way. Although, obviously, this doesn't necessarily mean that Sandoval didn't have consent. However, I feel like if he did have consent in any way, it would have been in his response back. So I think that kind of like negated any possibility of he had consent. Do you know what I mean?
Right, and I was gonna say, like, just because of the way the video was taken, that doesn't mean that he had consent, so I'm glad that you said that.
Right. And this is what they're claiming. His team is saying, his lawyers are saying, he's saying that basically they're trying to say because this was a situation where she allowed him to view her on this FaceTime being filmed doing this act, her pleasuring herself. Um, it's basically saying it's like not eavesdropping because she gave him permission to view this, so it should be viewed as something that's I mean, he basically trying to say, like, it should be viewed as he has the right to record it.
Like, he has access to it because she did share that with him, pretty
Yeah,
much, yeah.
and that's just the angle they're taking. I think because they have to take an angle, and that's the angle they're going with. Do I agree that that's the correct angle? Um, no, but I guess they have to take some type of angle that this is what you have to do. Now
Yeah, I guess, like, if he seriously did not, have malintent with it and he did have consent from her in some way, even if it was, like, verbal consent, then yeah, that is the stance I guess they have to take.
Now, word on the street is I sound like the Salt Lake City girls, everybody on the street, or any of them. They always talk about the street, right? But word on the street is that this is something that happened between them regularly, videos between them. This isn't like a proven thing. This is just what's out there and being said. So we want to make that clear. It could be true, it could be not at all true. So if that were the case, I see that being more of a, if I'm thinking about it as plain hard facts.
I get what you're saying because if that's, like, the nature of their relationship intimately,
Mhm.
if
Right.
they were doing that and that's how they, were intimate with each other virtually, I'm curious if they have any sort of text exchange in any way between the 2 of them where, it said like, "I love that we do this," or "This is so special that we have these moments," or anything like that that's gonna come into evidence to show that it was something they did a lot
I was thinking the same thing,
or
yeah.
frequently or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there has to be right, exactly, and we both agree, you shouldn't be recorded, it's not like you should be recorded, that's a terrible thing, even if my, husband did that, which he wouldn't ever. First of all, I wouldn't do that, we've talked about this before,
That's, like,
but
another thing too. Yeah, it's, like, knowing and really trusting that person. I mean, I'm sure that in some situations, people might do that. I'm thinking more like long distance relationships. I could see that kind of being a thing maybe. That wasn't, like, their case per se because they're not long distance at all, but again, they were long distance in the sense of they had to keep everything hush hush. So I could see that being the nature between them.
right. But I mean, and again, yeah, like let's say if your significant other, let's say your spouse, okay, or somebody you're in a long-term relationship recorded you, you would still feel like, well, how did you record me and not tell me? Like that is wrong. It's just
Oh,
wrong
absolutely. Yeah,
to do
even
that.
like a long-term partner. If I was with a long-term partner, if I ever found out that they had anything like that without my consent or my knowledge, that's absolutely not okay. I don't
Yeah,
care how long we were together for or anything. Like it's just even if you're together for a day versus 10 years, it's just not okay.
right. I do just wonder how much of the case it is, how much of it, is the case. So basically that's his response. It's kind of like saying, I don't know. It's not, what's the word I'm trying
They're
to use?
completely refuting it. Like, they want this dismissed
Yeah.
entirely. So that's for me, again, I still don't know. You don't know. We all don't know. But that's what's making me feel like, okay, if they're looking for a complete dismissal, there has to be something else that Tom's lawyers have to show that this is why we are asking for this to be dismissed. But
They're also trying to make it like he almost like she doesn't have the right to privacy because they're in a public relationship. Again, it makes no sense. I think it's just the angle they're trying to pull. But
yeah,
like it doesn't they're saying like because she says everybody knew about this relationship, then I don't know. It's strange. It's very strange. Then we have Ariana's response back. And that's interesting because we learned some things that we did not learn before. And this came from her. And she wrote it it just sounds like it's from Ariana.
right.
It
Yes.
Yeah, and she was explaining that what happened was this is more to the story than we knew. When she got the phone, okay, when somebody gave her the
Mhm.
phone, she said she
Yep.
had the weird feeling. She went to the bathroom and looked at it, and she first opened the text messages between Rachel and him
Right. And got like a weird vibe.
and noticed that there were deleted messages, and that's when she went to go look at his videos and found the video, and she took 2 separate recordings of the one video on her phone, like, as proof, right?
That they were cheating, right?
So she did not actually send those videos. She's claiming she did not actually send those videos. She took 2 recordings. This might help that whole distribution thing.
I am praying, fingers crossed and praying. And that's why I feel like she has been so cool, calm, and collected during this time because, you know, reading through it very quickly, I remember seeing like she said something like, I didn't send the videos. Like, I just saw them. I did not send them.
Now, Rachel's team is refuting this, and they're saying that they have forensic evidence. I'm curious how, if they're saying that, then you would think it has to be true.
I
But
know
then
that's what's
why
so
would Ariana
confusing.
claim it? That would be very risky for Ariana to claim this
I feel
and
like
for
that's
it
a
to not be true.
bold like statement for Ariana to claim, but like you just said, now Rachel's lawyers are saying they have irrefutable evidence. So it's like, what is the irrefutable evidence then?
But Sandoval was involved in Ariana's story, so he would ironically be able to back up this claim because what she also says is that then she went to go show the videos to Sandoval. Sandoval took they went to the back alley. Sandoval took her phone aggressively and deleted the videos and even went into her deleted album, deleted photos, and deleted the videos. What's also cool for us is that they show the actual text messages, so you can
Yeah.
actually see those online. The interesting text messages between Rachel and Ariana. Do you want me to read?
Yeah, if you want, yeah, because honestly, those made me so sad. Like I felt like you could like feel her pain in reading them.
Yeah.
I do have it up if you want me to read it.
Oh, do you have it up? You can
I
read it.
do. So there's like a text thread between Rachel and Ariana, and it looks like Ariana says to Rachel, "We are going to watch the Watch What Happens live episode now." And then Rachel responds and says, "Oh, nice. I'm trying to find the whole episode on YouTube right now, but I don't think it's out yet."
Okay,
And
can
then
I stop you for a second? So she means the Watch What Happens Live episode. Does she mean
with
What Happens Live with
with
Is that what she
Scheana, I
means?
think, right? Or no?
With Scheana?
Is that at the time? Because it would have been that's it's February dated,
So the Wednesday before, so that's what was confusing to me. It must have been the week before. It must have been one of them on.
right? That's what I was thinking.
I'll look back. I'll look back. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys, this is Ro, and I recorded this after Em and I got off this little piece right here. So I looked it up, and even weirder because we don't have an exact February date. There were 3 options for who it was. It was either James with Iggy Azalea, Lala with Katie, or probably the most likely Sandoval and Schwartz. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Now back.
Okay, and then Ariana says, "Same, it's not on Peacock. If you have Spectrum, it will be on at 3 with like laughing emoji." And then Rachel responds and says, 40 more minutes." Then the next text comes in. It says February 25th from Rachel. And it says, "Yay, I'm happy you're coming with Brad and Jamie." And then Ariana on Wednesday, so whatever that date would have been after February 25th, says, "You are dead to me," in bold,
Caps.
in caps. And then it took Rachel 2 days to answer Ariana, and she said, "Ariana, I don't know what to say right now. Besides, I really fucked up, and I am so, so, so sorry." And then Ariana said, "Shut the fuck up, you fucking rat," in caps, and then stopped sharing her location with Rachel.
Yeah.
Which is another
Um,
point to say, I thought that they weren't, like, friends. Again, I don't be sharing my location with people I'm not close with, so it's another
exactly.
point of contention there. I'm like, "Hmm."
And talking about going to Watch What Happens Live episode, right? And saying, "Yay, I'm happy you're coming with Brad and Jamie," which, by the way, ew, Rachel's messaging her saying, "Yay, I'm happy you're coming with Brad and Jamie," and
Yep,
you're cheating. Like,
yep.
your whole friendship thing is, "Girl, this girl is wild. If she wants to go to court with this and have all this shit come out, she's gonna look horrific."
No, I know, and, like, that's another thing. Ariana already had enough ground to stand on to, like, really just be so completely done with
Mhm.
Sandoval. This is, like, a whole other level now. It's like, "Bro, now you got me involved with this too?"
Right, right.
Like, no. Yeah.
Gosh. And then the other set of text messages were from
Now, I guess I was a little confused by this because it says daddy.
yeah, I can't remember. I knew who these were from, and now I can't remember. Tom took my phone. That's Logan.
Okay, I was like, "Is it Logan?" Because the emoji looks like Logan.
Yeah, mhm.
So then, it looks like Ariana texted Logan and said, "I
Oh, hold on,
called."
and some of the messages above it are redacted. Know that word
Yes.
says a jo so,
Yes.
like
Wait, do you know that because of the Johnny Depp case?
yeah, of course. So, we don't you're supposed to do that when it's not pertaining to the situation, so I thought it was interesting that they kept the ones before about, like, Watch What Happens Live and all that in there, but they
Yeah.
did redact some things from Logan. I don't know if that's because he's not really involved in the
Oh, I
case or
probably, yeah.
but Logan was technically not technically, actually, I guess untechnically, I sound like Jax now, but he really is considered one of the does because he's her best friend, and he's one of the people that she's basically claiming she brought him up on her podcast. Not she didn't say this exactly, but she said Logan knew about all this. So he's one of the people who you're thinking is going to be considered one of the does that would have received this.
Right.
So, okay, what did it say?
And then Ariana texts him and says, "I called her after finding out," and something texting her the videos of herself from Tom's phone that I took. "Tom took my phone and deleted them. Chased him all the way down San Vicente."
Right. So that's the other part of the story
Oh
that we
my
found out from her
god.
statement. And then
Can you
here is that
imagine? Like, San Vicente, first off, like, is a main
okay.
road, okay? I
Okay.
can only imagine seeing 2 people chasing one another down it, just driving past being like, "Oh shit, they're going through something." Could you imagine?
It's It's giving me, like, the Miami Girl vibes, but, like,
Yes,
this time
yes.
she's chasing him instead of, like, the camera's
Yep.
chasing and if this goes to court, I hope we get that camera footage. I would love to see them running I would love to see her chasing him down that street.
No, literally, though, and honestly, good for her, like, don't take my phone and then delete the evidence of you cheating at that time, you know what I mean?
Here is the freaking thing. If I was Ariana's lawyer first of all, I wish she had fucking Camille. Her lawyer's hopefully good, but I wish she had Camille in that courtroom with her. Camille, what's her name
Mm.
from Johnny Depp? I
She was
fucking
so good, why can't I remember her last name?
oh my god, I don't know. Camille, hold on, let me look it up.
I'm looking it up too. Vasquez, she was so good, Camille Vasquez.
Camille
She was a
Vasquez.
boss ass
Yo,
bitch.
I honestly wish I can go become a lawyer just to take this case on. Because if I to go defend her in that courtroom,
No, literally, though.
seriously, what in what world does it of course she's gonna try to find take evidence. Even if it was a screenshot, that would still be considered bad. She would still be
Just for
suing her
her own
probably because she's
sanity,
Rachel.
like,
Her own yeah, and she's been gaslit all the time, been
yep.
saying, "No, no, nothing's going on, no, nothing is going on." Rachel lying right to her face, Sandoval lying right to her face, talking about it even on TV, right to her face, lying.
I mean, even
Freaking
that scene at their I think they were at their house when she was like, "Stop, Tom, like, enough." Like, it was done very much so in front of her face, behind her back, and that's, like, the worst.
so her taking screen recordings, is it good? No. Is it understandable to act like that in this particular situation? Of course. And there's something, I don't remember what the heck it's called, but there's something like a heat of the moment thing with like
I was
lawyer
literally
shit.
just about to say, in the heat of the moment though, yeah, I think we're all human, and I think any human would have behaved in that way and been like, "Oh wait, I need this so that he can't gaslight me anymore."
Right. Now, if she actually sent them to other people, that is different. Do I think she did it? I don't. If
I
she
Me
did,
neither, yeah.
that would be wrong, okay?
Yes.
But I really don't as somebody who's so we've talked about this before, but so private with, like, respectful of bodies and talked about her own issues with her own body, like how her ex, not Sandoval, her ex before that,
Mhm.
was basically, like, abusive to her
Yep.
and talking about her body and made her feel horrible about her private parts and all of that. Like, I just cannot imagine her sending this to people unless she did it crazy, crazy feelings in the moment, but I just can't imagine that happening. And their lawyers are saying they have evidence of it. I don't know if I believe that only because I think it's easy with the wording to say, I can't remember what they said exactly, but there was something here that when I listened to it, I'm like, hold on. Oh, another thing to point out, they had the cease and desist for the video.
Yes.
So the video is not on her phone regardless, but her lawyers are claiming that they have forensic proof that it's still on her phone, which I don't understand. And I do think there are many glitches with technical shit. So they're saying they have proof that it's on her phone. I feel I could be totally wrong. It's probably more of a scare tactic, but there's no point of that if Ariana, I think they just want to settle. Like, I think Rachel wants money. So they're
Yeah,
trying
same.
to
I
get
do
her
agree
to
with
do
that.
whatever. And I don't know if Ariana's somebody to back down. I don't think she is. I feel like that girl's not
I
one to
don't think
back
she
down.
should, like, after everything that's happened. Now, if it wasn't the full case and let's say that they weren't cheating, right? And that they
Mhm.
broke up and then all of this came out, maybe
Yeah.
it would be different, but that's not the case. So I definitely don't I can't see her backing I wouldn't if I were her. I cannot see her doing that.
So Rachel's lawyers, Mark Garagos, again, Scott Peterson's lawyer, very strange. Matthew Garagos, who is Sandoval's lawyer,
Yeah.
is we are not sure if they're actually brothers. So it's been going around that they're brothers, but I will tell you, I did see Rachel's publicist, Juliet, comment on a post saying, strangely not related about a post that they were brothers. So I'm like,
So it's just a
huh.
coincidence that they have the same last names. Okay.
But that was like a week ago and it's still been out there, so you would think that they would correct it
Right.
if they weren't brothers. I will tell you, I did try to find out from my source and they were like, they didn't know. They just didn't know. Her lawyers said the only thing more laughable than Ariana's motion is her fairy tale account of how she discovered the relationship from Tom's phone. So they're trying to go with that whole narrative like it's like a story. And they say, we look forward to cross examining her on her declaration as we have irrefutable evidence that the videos were distributed. The statement continues. Lastly, the forensic expert, in quotes, states that the video is now in capital letters on her phone, well after the event in question, because her lawyers say it was 33 minutes after that they were deleted, and within months of notice that her actions had put her in legal jeopardy. So, this is the part that I'm talking about. It says that the videos were distributed. Again, distribution can count as only sending to the other person. So technically, Ariana sending this to Rachel can count as distribution. Okay. That doesn't mean that she sent it to other people.
Right.
She took the videos from her phone. So she grabbed her phone, held it up to Sandoval's phone, and took two, they said, short or quick videos of the video, and then sent that to Rachel. Now, if they're on her phone, she didn't even have to send it to herself. So it literally only be to Rachel, which in some places will technically count as distribution. Doesn't mean she sent it to somebody else. So I do want to keep saying that because people are like, well, she distributed. I mean, she sent it to Rachel, it's her own freaking body. So
That part.
I don't know.
Literally.
Okay. So we're going to go into this more. Like I said, we were working on getting a lawyer on here. It's been hard with us, it's hard with timing and both of us doing this with jobs and personal lives. And it takes a lot of time to have that happen. But we really do want to get a lawyer on here to talk about everything more. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it
No, I think
before we
that was a
close?
good quick, like, recap just to let everyone know as much info
Yeah.
as we know right now, but I think we covered everything.
Yeah. And Sandoval does point out, they say like the narrative, and Ariana seemed basically too, like, I thought it was interesting. Sandoval's team is saying Rachel's just trying to make herself the victim
Mhm.
and paint Ariana as the scorned woman.
Mhm.
Seems like all these lawyers listen to like everyone out there.
Right?
And yeah, it's so interesting. All right. So
They might
next
though,
thing.
actually, seriously, they might. That might
Oh,
be
they
some of their, like, team homework, like, go find out what you know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
And the next point of business is some Jax and Brittany tea. They were, at the White House, we discussed that.
We did get information, and these are the exact words, that Lori was canned. Okay. Had a source say this. Lori being Jax and Brittany's publicist, who was accused of cheating with Jax in a bathroom in Canada. Remember, we weren't sure because she was removed from Jax's Instagram, but Lori was quote unquote canned. So we will see what happens there. Now we know that. I honestly, I'm just like, it's wild to me.
Were you surprised that Jax admitted that he doesn't watch the news, that he, has too many of his own problems?
Yeah. They were asking Jax political questions at the White House correspondent, which, by the way, apparently he went to the hotel dinner. He wasn't like actually at the White
Yeah,
House.
right.
But they were asking him questions, something about C-SPAN, and people were like, Jax doesn't even know. And he just literally just admitted. And I'm like, dude, you gotta brush up a little bit before
Right?
you go.
No,
Yeah,
like,
just a little bit.
I think the interviewer was like, "Do you even know what channel C-SPAN is on?"
Did you say that?
Yes.
That's super funny. That's really funny.
And then he, like, pivoted the interviewer pivoted to, like, a sports question, and Jax was like, "This is my bread and butter. Now you got" like, I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god, that's so freaking funny. Okay, so today we have something pretty major, a big, big bit of tea from M. And another big thing that came out this week is it came out that Vanderpump Rules is taking a break from filming. That was the news. Vanderpump Rules is pausing production and will not film this summer to give cast members a break. Okay. And they said that Ariana is going to be filming Love Island on Peacock. They listed that as one of the reasons. They also said, Andy Cohen said today on his podcast, he talked about Lisa Vanderpump is going to be filming Vanderpump Villa season 2, most likely. And he was saying, and they were saying in the article, that the cast needs a break, similar to how Housewives needs a break. We talked about this, Em and I, feeling like it makes sense. They rushed so quickly into the last season. It did not go as planned, we felt like. And it makes sense that they need a break.
I was just about to say, absolutely. The whole thing is they're saying, like, in the wake of Scandival, and for me, I'm just like, "But then why didn't they take a break last season over summer? Like, maybe that would have been the right time."
Right. And it
Also, I don't know about, like, all the lawsuits and everything. Maybe they just wanted to take a little breather.
That's a really good point because we don't know if the lawsuits contributed at all. That makes sense. It does say, it says producers are excited to catch up with everyone when cameras eventually go back up. And it says, although it's unclear exactly when filming will resume, an insider told TMZ, who was the first to report the news, that it'll be within the year. So we got that. However, oh, and if you listen to our podcast, there was a little hint at some tea about Sandoval possibly doing something this summer, which next episode we will give an Easter egg for that, in addition to some inside information because M was boots on the ground at Schwartz and Sandy's last night.
Yes, I went to Schwartz and Sandy's last night. I did my live stream on TikTok, and then I went to Schwartz and Sandy's to watch their watch party. And it was really fun. It was a very good time.
And you had some conversations with people, which is cool.
Yeah, there was so many, like, people there, which was also really fun. I got to see Kyle Chan. I got to speak with Schwartz for a little, and Greg, the owner.
Mm-hmm. So we will share that with the next podcast only to make this one a little bit more concise. Also, this news that we're sharing now is just too big to really hold on to. I feel like we have to just get it out. So, Em, why don't you share what happened with you tonight with your post?
Yes. So I made a video on TikTok. I saw this from Bravo by Betches on Instagram, and it's a picture and it says, "Pump rules to take filming pause," in parentheses, because everyone fucking hates each other. And there's a picture of Ariana on the left and Tom on the right. And I was laughing when I saw this, honestly, because I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. I feel like everyone in that group has issues with one another. And I threw a
Yeah.
poll up and it says, "Do you think there will be a season 12 of Vanderpump Rules?" Well, I was scrolly dolying and I was like, let me just look at the votes because you can on TikTok see like who votes what. So we
Right.
have 36 votes for yes, I hope that there will be a season 12. And then there's 70 votes for no, it's done. But that's not where the interesting part is. The interesting part is who voted no, it's done. And the person that voted no, it's done is the one and only Ariana.
Oh my god. And it's absolutely Ariana. It's the
And it's
verified Ariana.
when you go into the poll votes, you are able to click on the person's profile. And when I clicked, because I had to rub my eyes to make sure that I was
Right.
reading that correctly, when you click on her name, it brings you to her TikTok, and it is absolutely her.
Yeah.
What does this
So
mean? What does this mean?
oh gosh. Okay. So this is very interesting for several reasons. One of my sources told me very, very recently, okay, this week, that as far as they know, the show is still on and nobody is pulled out of the show. So, in saying that, remember, there are so many different people who are on the cast. They all have different people of their own that they talk to. They don't all know each other's situation, but it made me wonder, does this mean that Ariana is out and she's saying it's done because she's out, whatever? It made me wonder, is this part of the pause? Because they're like, well, if Ariana's out, what are we going to do? We need to regroup. Maybe she needs more time. You know what I mean? Like, what could it be?
All I can think about is that TikTok sound, which is like, what does it mean? I don't know if you know that one or not, but that's
That-
like the sound that replayed in my head because what does this mean? Or is she just trying to spice things up on TikTok? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. She is not a spicer. She's a spice
Right?
girl,
I was gonna say.
but she's not, yeah, she's very, I'm very lucky that she follows me on TikTok and very lucky that she comments on our Instagram stuff and things like that. She's careful with her words always. Is she careful with her clicking? Could she have maybe just clicked it and not really thought about it? That's possible. That is possible. But because she's so intentional, I have to think this means something. So
Right?
we
I
will
agree
see.
with you on that too, because I do think she is very intentional with her actions, her words.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just
Her
like, what does
like
this mean?
was she giving you a little bit of, you have your wonderful song about them? Was she giving you a little bit of tea? I don't know. It's possible. You never know.
It's
So,
possible. That's another good thought too, maybe.
yeah. If they don't know, guys, M has a really great song that she wrote like last year for the girls for something about her, and it's amazing. We'll play it. You want to play it next week on the podcast?
We could play a little snippet of it, yeah.
And it's our intro. Actually, the instrumental of it is that what you call it? The instrumental, the beat of it is our intro and our outro of the podcast. But she finally made a video for it, and Ariana and Katie both saw it and commented, which was really sweet. And Emma's an amazing singer, if you can't already tell by the little little riff she does, I guess, on our podcast.
Yes, so I wrote that song last year right after season 10 of Vanderpump Rules because the way I express myself is through music. So I was like, you know what? I'm really affected by Tom's comments at the reunion, like what he said about the t-shirt and everything. So I kind of just have little nods to the last season of Vanderpump in the song. And it was very cool to see both Ariana and Katie comment on that video that I posted on Instagram. And I was very, very appreciative. I was like, okay, cool. They saw it and they seem to like it.
Yeah. How
Hope we're
could you
learning.
not? Ariana wrote Slay.
Ariana wrote Slay and Katie gave me the emo girl love, which is the black hearts. And I was like,
Yeah.
you've got my little nods to your emo love. And it was just great.
Yeah, it's perfect. But dude, I am like, when you told me this, my stomach was like so tight instantly. And I'm like, what do we do? What do we do with this information? How do we present this? And like you said, you are going to eventually make a video, but I think you're going to see.
Yeah, I just want to wait and see first.
Okay, so we're going to sit on that. We are going to sit on that. So, like we said, next week we'll update you with anything else that comes from this, and we will tell you what M found out at Schwartz and Sandy's.
Okay, guys, that is the end of our 14th episode of Down to Reality. Thank you so much for listening, for downloading, and for reposting. We really appreciate all comments, questions that you guys leave, and we look forward to your input.
Also, yeah, you mentioned the sharing. We just want to thank everybody so much for sharing. Like we've said before, whenever you share any of our posts for the podcast, it really helps since we are not promoting right now besides social media. It truly helps us to make this thing grow. And we're so amazed how it's grown. And we just can't wait to do more. And we truly appreciate all of your support and love and also the positivity. I feel like the comments are so helpful to us, like, they help build us up and help us to keep doing this. So we just wanna thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, it's very much so motivates us.
Motivating, that's the word, thank
Okay,
you.
I was
It's
like, is that the word you were looking
motivating.
for?
Yes, it's very motivating, thank you. Like we've said in the past, it truly helps us if you can give us 5 stars wherever you listen, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or any other platform, and yeah, like and subscribe, and we will talk to you later.
Talk to you later.